7 main colleges and schools that are invested in this project around the United States. And then we've brought in this year we brought in about 5 other schools where these are our champions, people who have really embraced this and have done a lot with the grant. So we started in 2006. This is a slide of some of the members of our group from Pennsylvania, Indiana, Washington State, University of Wyoming, Sinclair College in Dayton, Ohio. I'm at Ventura College just down the road here a little way. And Mark is at Purdue University in Indiana. So we're kind of scattered around the country. And it started with a group like this. I was walking down the sidewalk with Tom and a couple of other fellows who aren't up on the screen today. But we were walking down the sidewalk in, where were we? We were in Pennsylvania. We were in some big city that has a lot of old stuff in Pennsylvania. I'm a Southern California guy. If it was built before 1964, we knock it down and build something new, right? We don't have old stuff here in Southern California. So I said to my crew as we were walking down the street, we should really plan a project that we could do a collaboration. And so we're walking along, talking about it, and we decided that we would do some sort of a design and manufacturing collaboration. So my background is basically manufacturing and in design. I was the glue. We had some designers on one side, some manufacturers on the other, and we developed a project that we did across the United States. So we had people in Ohio working, Northern California working, Southern California working, and our students would work in different time zones. We were doing instant messaging at the time was the hot thing, and so we did that with students, hooked them up, and that was the beginning of this project back in around 2004, 2005. So we've been pushing it, and it's great because we like each other. We like seeing each other, and it makes it a lot more fun. When I think of how this project works, there's a slide there that talks about it. I was reminded of when I was in 8th grade. I came home from school on my bicycle, and my mother was about this tall, and she was running down the street in her little cotton dress and her flip-flops with a hunk of cheese in her hand. And I said, what are you doing? She said, Sam got out. Well, that was our dog, and he was bigger than her. He was a Great Dane. And he took himself for a walk, and she used the cheese to coax him back from the backyard of the neighbors or somewhere to get him to come out. Well, this grant is the cheese. It's what we use to entice kids to be interested in science and other technical things, and mathematics, of course, and engineering and so forth. And now art is the big one as well. Yeah, let's go past that. 1,200 kids, so that's what that tells you. Let's stop here. This is a picture of Mark when he was in 8th grade. But these are the 2 textbooks that he's done, math-based textbooks on guitars and how guitars work, and musical instruments, string instruments, and so forth. So you do have some resources there. He'll talk about it more in just a minute. That's good. Yeah. What is the basis of our program? So we've identified a few areas that this program covers, and that is, of course, physics, chemistry, technology, engineering and mathematics, and art, which we really ought to add to that because it is really an artistic part of it. It's a soulful kind of a project for the kids. They really do embrace it. And we started looking at kids that we are losing. In California, we get about 80% high school graduation, they want to believe, but there are studies that show that less than 80% of kids graduate from high school. That means 20 to 25% are, they're serving you in a restaurant or they're doing something else. And we want to reach those kids, and that was our intention. So trying to establish some kind of a piece of cheese out there, a carrot on a stick, however you want to describe it, a way for them to find a common place, a safe place in a school where their interests can be addressed. I just told you why it worked. Gender neutral, that's the other thing that's been really successful in our class. We get a lot of females involved. I've got like 200 photographs I can show you on the screen here in a minute. And one of my students last year, Dana, was this nice young woman who came into my manufacturing processes class. And I started talking to her about her. She had no experience with tools or equipment or even in a true manufacturing environment. And I said, well, why are you here? And she said, I went through your nursing program. We have a 2-year nursing program at our college, which is truly a 4-year nursing program, 2 years of preparatory, 2 years of the actual program. Some of you know what that's like at your colleges as well. And she said, I discovered 2 things about myself. I don't like sick people. And I really don't like old sick people. And so I've gone back and I'm getting another degree. I'm in the engineering corps now. And I said, well, hang with me here and we'll get you, I'll make you look like you know what you're talking about and sound like you know what you're talking about. So the following summer, she sent me an email. Would I write her a letter of recommendation for a job? And she had moved from Ventura up to the Bay Area and had been accepted at San Francisco State in some version of their engineering program. And she said, I had applied to 5 different colleges, didn't get into any of them. Finally, San Francisco State called me at home and said they would like to talk to me again because they discovered in her portfolio that she had built a guitar in my class, and they were very impressed. So I said, well, you go there and you take that guitar in there. And she took the guitar with her and she sat down and she talked about what she had done, about building a guitar, what she had learned, and how she was really interested in a career, a degree in engineering. And they accepted her. So the guitar actually got her in to university. I was very, very happy about that. Alignment. When we started this project in the United States, there was a lot of turmoil. Common Core hadn't really taken hold yet, and there was a lot of talk about common standards, and we realized at that time there were 50 states in the Union, and in 50 states there's 50 different standards. And we said, we're not getting involved. We will help you get involved, but we're not getting involved in your state standards. And when we do a seminar, we have students coming from a variety of areas. Some local, we've had teams from Hawaii, we've had teams from Alaska, we've had teams from pretty much most of the states in the United States, and they all told us the same thing. They had issues and standards that they had to overcome themselves. And so we would help them, direct them, craft with them some of the verbiage that they would use. But we have since then settled on next-gen science and Common Core, trying to make sure that anybody at any state level, in California, we're all in California, California has never been leading edge on anything. When I talked about Common Core with my friend Tom Singer at Dayton in Ohio, he said, oh yeah, we started doing all those standards 15 years ago. Really? Everybody's excited here in California. Yeah, we were excited 15 years ago, but we're not excited about it so much anymore. In fact, recently they say, oh yeah, you guys in California, you're Common Core. And the guys in Ohio are saying, yeah, we hate Common Core. And I don't know if it's red state, blue state stuff, but I don't know what's going on. We provide quite a lot of support. We have a workbook, which I have on the flash drive. I won't bore you with it, but it has developed courses, lesson plans. This is an example of the kind of standard format that we came up with, and it identifies the materials that are required and so forth. So we've broken this down. Now, building a guitar is a project that can be this big, and then we've tried to slice it up into individual areas, recognizing that a teacher's environment will somehow dictate the kind of things they want to focus on. So we try to teach the seminars, and we do teach the seminars that allow for we're all math people, but any department. We've had history teachers, biologists, music teachers, of course, woodshop guys go nuts, English teachers, obviously lots of math, other science, physics, social studies, manufacturing, drafting. All of these people take this on. We have one of our partners is at the University of Wyoming, but she was at a high school before that in upstate Ohio, right? In Ohio, and her demographic was literally Appalachian, which is a national group on the census. And she said, when your cousin is your brother and your aunt is your mom and your blah blah blah. She says, that's where I am. That's what it's like. And she had a physics class that had, I think she said when she started, 12 kids. And when she started building guitars, her class went from 12 kids to 25 kids, and they were really, really engaged in that. And then giving a talk like this, a person came up to her and said, you know, I'm from the University of Wyoming, and we want you. And now she's in the PhD program at University of Wyoming doing the same kind of thing. What else do we have? Participation. So it's 5 days, and it goes by so quickly. And I know that there's a couple of us in the room that have sat through and worked through those 5 days. The first 2 days are really messy. A lot of work, a lot of physical work, a lot of introduction to processes that you've never done before, or if you did, you were glad you finally could pay someone to do that for you. And the point is that we get you in there and we get you involved right away in the project. And once we have you hooked on that, which doesn't take very long, we start talking about curriculum and direction and implementation. And we also are an NSF-funded grant, which means we need data. We're looking for your experience. We want to be able to count you, count your students. And so we start talking about data and how we can gather data to keep the NSF people really, really off our backs. What's it in for? What are you in for? What's in it for me? We do support you a lot. We provide unlimited professional experience on our side, helping you develop the kind of activities that would work well in your school. We also have access to tools and supplies. I have toolboxes in my storage room filled with, it's a guitar kit ready to go. And we just show up at your school, show up at your doorstep. That's what we did here last summer. Here we just showed up, took over a couple of rooms, unpacked all of our tools, brought in the equipment, and in 5 days we had about, 20, almost 20 guitars finished. And so we provide all of that support. And then eventually what you'll discover in Southern California, if we're all from Southern California, there's probably 20 to 25 schools building guitars, which means they have access to tools, and all of those faculty who have been touched by us are willing to share and to support and to help you create the kind of environment that you want. We have built guitars in hotel, not hotel rooms.
I have.
But you have. But you
recommend it.
You can build a guitar in your kitchen on your kitchen table. You can do that. It can happen. You don't have to have access to a big facility. You don't have to have access to a lot of, and again, last summer, our experience here was we took over a computer lab, we took over a little manufacturing processes lab, and we turned it into a wood shop for 2 days, and then an electronics shop, and then we did a little bit of chemical stuff with coatings, and we were able to go through the entire curriculum in a space like this, and it's very easy to do. Do we have? What's in it for you? We provide. We provide when we started the project, the guys at Sinclair, which if you're ever driving through Ohio and you have an opportunity to go through Dayton, visit Sinclair College. It's an amazing place. It's a pretty big school, and they have a really, really terrific attitude about projects like this. They just jump in and really go for it. They were able to give up a big chunk of a space for our manufacturing requirements. We can buy every guitar component that you need online. There are hundreds of vendors that will sell you anything you want to build, from the tools to the parts to the strings to everything involved in it, even the clothes to wear while you're playing the guitar. And we have our students go online and they look at those websites, and they make a list, and they learn to use Excel, and they make a list, and we calculate the cost. And their guitars are $500, $700 in components. This is what they choose. And then we say, yeah, do you have that money? No, we don't have that money. And so we realized that we needed to provide materials. We needed to be a supply source for these schools. So we have a store that we've created, and at St. Clair College they manufacture, and we've kind of doled it out to a few other schools. We actually manufacture some of the components, the guitar bodies, the necks, some of the pieces that we need, we produce, and we sell basically at cost. So we have the price down now for a guitar kit, about $170. It's gone up a tiny bit. Shipping is kind of an expensive one, but we have kits, classroom kits, single guitar kits, and your students can actually pick and choose from a variety of body styles. Now, some schools that have access to manufacturing programs have the ability to produce some of those parts themselves, and manufacturing schools that have labs, wood shops, machine shops, certainly if they have some computerized equipment, they have the ability to manufacture some of those pieces, and we do that as well. So we provide all of that for you. And what else do I have here? University of Wyoming, we were providing this summer credit for professional development through the University of Wyoming for some of our high school teachers need to continuously upgrade. Community college teachers, how many are community college teachers? So you get that tenure position, and what's it like? It's like the Supreme Court, isn't it? No one ever asks you to go back and get more degrees of any kind. No one asks you to publish. When my first job teaching was at OCC. Anybody here from Orange Coast College? One person from Orange Coast College. My first teaching job. And then my second teaching job was at Santa Ana College, and he's Rancho Santiago people, a couple of Rancho Santiago people. So 1982, and I was really, really proud of my accomplishment of getting my full-time position. And I had a man come in, a guy just showed up at the door one day in a gray suit, introduced himself as a professor from Cal Poly Pomona. And I was was finishing up my master's degree, and I said, you know, I really, really want to go on and get a PhD, and I want to teach at university. And he looked at me, and he said, are you crazy? Because you don't want my job. He said, I want your job. Really, I want your job. So anyway, it's a fabulous, fabulous place. But one of the great things that we can do without a lot of problems, a lot of trouble, is collaborate in our community colleges. And so I can work with my design faculty, my engineering faculty very easily. It's very easy for us to So we kind of bug you once you've been in the program a little bit about data. We want information from you. This doesn't say it, but our current group of faculty who are implementing, we're waving $400 bills in front of their noses to get them to collect data for us. We have the money for it. NSF will pay for the data, but we have to get people to turn that data in. That's a big one for us. And Q&A, go ahead and jump through that one because I think it goes back into the team. As I said, we have a large support staff, large support group from Washington State all the way up and down the coast, and yeah, it's really a terrific group of people. Go ahead and. Why am I up there? I don't know. Okay. What do you do? So, in the. What's this month? We're in, October. Is this October? Oh yeah, it's week 8, midterms, right? Midterms. That's my life next week, midterms. In October, November, December, we're going to start advertising the heck out of this summer's courses. The idea is you try to find one that is near to you. We will have a Southern California build this year, I was told, but we'll see. Could be in Ventura, maybe in San Diego also, we're not sure. A lot of guitar building in San Diego these days. And it's no cost to you. You are free to come. You just got to get yourself there, put yourself up. We feed you during the day. And it's no cost. And so when you leave with a guitar. There's no cost for the guitar at all. We don't charge you a thing for that. It's a full functioning, playable guitar. We've had great reviews on the quality of the guitars when we're done. So if you are a player, you'll be happy with that. And some schools will take that guitar back and auction it off at some kind of event, and that can be seed money for the program if you want to get your program started. When you arrive, we will have given you a little bit of homework, not much. Start thinking about if you were to develop a program, how would you implement it at your school? What would you do? How would it work? And as I said, we have a lot of different models of implementation. And so if you're curious about that, we can converse, email, or however, and talk about how that might work for you. We have a school in Billings, Montana. It's not a charter school. I think it's a regular public school, but the physics teacher had heard about our project and contacted us. We sent her to our website, and then through emails, she and I talked her through an entire semester of building a couple of guitars in her physics class. And she said, I have a work table and I have a couple of tools from my husband's toolbox, and that's all I have. And we were able to talk her through, and we discovered that in Billings, Montana, there's guitar making factories, companies, and people there that are very excited to pitch in and help out. So she developed a kind of her own little support staff right around her. What else do we have? Set a goal, find out what will work for you, develop a plan around what will work for you. And try to incorporate it into your lessons. I don't suggest that you decide, well, I'm going to have a guitar building class. There's a fellow in Las Vegas, Angelo Papano. It's at the technical high school on the north edge of town. It's a brand new, beautiful school. The students audition for and apply to go to that school in Las Vegas. It's a beautiful spot. And he built a guitar with us, took it back to his school, hung it on the wall above his office so the kids couldn't reach it, but they could sure see it. And today he builds 60 guitars a semester in his classes. Plus he does FIRST Robotics, plus he does the other stuff, plus he does that. He's in the engineering group. He's a very, very busy guy, but he is building 60 guitars a semester at his school. So it can get as big as you want it to be. This is just to kind of identify. We do put you through quite a bit of work at the beginning. Certainly, it calms down quite a bit later. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that too much. And a typical day, we have start off with at the very beginning. We just start off with a sit-down chat about what's going to happen during the day, and then we work you really hard from about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 5 o'clock at night. Give you a couple of breaks. Let you go to the bathroom once. You got to plan that one. And that's typical of our schedule. We have a whole schedule planned. We've been doing it, as I said, since 2006. We've made a lot of guitars. We've taken a lot of people through. Groups are typically 15 to 20. We've built as many as 20, 22 but in 5 days, 22 guitars in 5 days is a real push. Okay, so should we show a couple of photos? Do you think of what it looks like? So I'm going to just do a really quick photo thing here so you can see happy people.
Well, while he's doing that, I think we all know, but these 4 guitars over here, all came out of these workshops. This is, they were made by students. You didn't make that one you brought, did you?
I did.
Oh, he did? Okay, well, the one over there, Scot, he runs over and gets this little curly-haired girl about this high. She's like, go! 4 minutes and 46 seconds later, we had a diddly bow. It was big. Then we had cupcakes. It was good.
When you said you collect data, what data do you collect?
We have quizzes that we've developed that aren't very long. It teaches, or it has the students tell us what they've learned. And we can see before and after kind of thing, pre and post. And we also want to know how many folks we're touching. NSF likes that. And then we are very focused on this grant on sustainability. NSF wants to know that your project can continue after their money goes away. And that's built into our grant and is part of our model. So we have hopefully we would be able to continue this, and we assume we will be able to continue this way beyond the life of the grant, which will be 2 more summers. Yeah?
Do you build only electronic guitar or classical as well?
Only electric.
Yeah, for this project only, like 5 days. Right, 5 days.
I've had students at Purdue doing acoustic guitars, and it's a whole nother level of activity. It would be pretty hard to do one in 5 days, no matter how prefabricated it was, unless you had it just about done coming out of the box. So I did it during the course of a 16-week semester, and that worked okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, thanks. Just bottle of water. All right, hang on, I gotta show something else. All right, I think we're all math teachers. Okay, this is making me crazy. I don't know what's going on here. 9,000 years of engineering school, and I can't fix this problem. How many of us are math teachers? Wow, for the record, my son is a math major. He doesn't think I know any math. So I want to try something on you here. These are 2 t-shirts I had made. I want to see if you get it. Here's the easy one. Gonna load. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Let it sink. Say it out loud if you need to. Okay. I'm wearing that to math class on Wednesday morning to see if any of them get it. Here's the other one. Now this is not the conceptual one. We're moving up that, whatever that pyramid is. Bloom's, yeah, Maslow's pyramid, whatever it's called. Here's the other one. Okay, think about it. One of the grad students in my math class says she just hates that t-shirt. It's like, it makes me angry. I'm like, why? Because that's an infinite loop. I'm a computer person. We don't do that. Sounds good then. Let me do this. Right there. I think so. Okay. Here's my. Do you mind flicking that?
Yeah.
Thanks. So, what I'd like to do is just spend a few minutes. I took this picture in Nashville. I mean, how many times are you in the bathroom going, oh, I need to take a picture? I was visiting a facility there. And yeah, doesn't need words, does it? What I'd like to do is tell you just a little bit about an example of 1 or 2 of the kinds of lessons that you can implement and the sort of the thinking behind them, and then I'll stop and we can talk about whatever, okay? Sound good? Are we holding up okay? This is a brutal time to have to sit and listen to 2 propeller heads like us. You holding up okay? All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Okay, this question comes up a lot. I'm basing a lot of this on questions I get all the time. Two flavors of guitar, there's acoustic and electric, and either one of them can be very good teaching tools, whichever one you happen to have access to. If you have one or have the other, don't worry about it. I'm a huge fan of the $200 guitar. $200 guitars used to be just awful, unplayable, but, you know, the instruments now coming out of China are high enough quality, you can do okay with a $200 guitar. It's okay. It's a very playable instrument. Now, do you want to play concerts with it? Maybe not, but is that really a problem? So if you can't make one, if you just go buy one, that's okay. Go on to Amazon or whatever. The basic physics are that the electric guitar is solid body. It's designed not to resonate. You almost can't get it to feed back unless you do like a Hendrix and just jam it right up in front of the Marshall stack. It was designed, you could play it in a very loud environment and it wouldn't feed back. 95% of the sound quality comes out of the pickups. So it's a very simple process. Energy goes in, pluck a string, energy goes into the pickups, and it's an electronic chain. The acoustic guitar is a fundamentally different way of making sound. I mean, yes, the string's vibrating, it's actually vibrating a very light, very compliant structure that's then radiating out into the air. So you can, it's not a completely different set of physics, but different enough that it can be valuable to have both. Have them look at an electric guitar, or an acoustic guitar, I should say, then go look at a piano. Now all of a sudden the parts of the piano make sense. You open that the hood, whatever that lid's called, lid, what's it called? Okay, the lid, the top, the thing that opens up. And there's this giant Sitka spruce soundboard in there. Well, I know what a soundboard is. It's right there. And it does exactly the same thing. So you can take your students into the music room or something, open one of these things up, and they go, oh wow, an 88-string guitar. And there, that's a connection. Okay, you've been able to generalize knowledge from there. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Okay, now, do you mind, is it okay if I hold this? This is me. I'm not too good at this. A guitar doesn't need to be magnificent to be a good learning tool. It turns out, by the way, any of these four, if you know anything about music, you'll recognize all four of those. Okay, if you actually owned all four of those and you wanted to sell them as a group, I don't know where the bidding starts. $500,000 would be my guess, but it's probably going to go a lot higher than that. These are all exceptionally average instruments, except for this one, which is unplayable. By any modern standard is unplayable. And they all served very, very well. And if these were in your classroom, they would be just fine. Okay? If you made one of that quality, well, when I started building, I mean, there was no books, I didn't know what I was doing. I truly, honestly hope my first 10 instruments are in a landfill somewhere. I don't ever want to see them again. In fact, I was dumb enough to send one to my uncle. I almost want it back. Like, hey, if you send me one back, I'll send you a real one, one of those kinds of deals. Okay, just for completeness, the one on the left, Willie Nelson, that is a classical guitar he named Trigger. It was never a great guitar. It's a Martin N90. Martin generally doesn't make classical guitars, and apparently this was why. If you believe the story on his website, it was bought sight unseen. He ordered it, or bought it because somebody had one on their wall in a music store and could Mickey Mouse this pickup into it for him. And so he went, good. So he called him from the tour bus or something and picked it up at the next stop, and that was it. It was just, it's a guitar, so what? And the one on we all know what the red one is. Eddie Van Halen, the Frankenstrat. It's famous. It's called, all you have to do is say Frankenstrat. Everybody knows what you're talking about. Fender actually got a hold of the original in order to do a reissue, and they had a real come to Jesus moment because they went, this thing is garbage. I mean, we knew it was garbage. This thing is unplayable. Unless you're Eddie freaking Van Halen, then it's okay. But if you're not, it's unplayable. So what do? Do we make ones that are truly honest copies of this? We'll never sell one. Or do we make one that from 5 feet away looks like a Frankenstrat? And that's what they did. By the way, this thing right here, that's a quarter. It's goobered on to help keep the bridge on. And apparently there's another one under the bridge. And he played a couple of world tours this way. Everybody's like, Ed, you're doing all right now. If you went back to like Fender or somebody and said you want another guitar, they'd be cool with it. But, the one at the top you may not recognize, that's Bruce Springsteen's 1950s Esquire that he, again, Mickey Moused a neck pickup in. It didn't originally have one. And it's an guitar, but it's his axe, man. That's what he plays. And the one on the far right is Stevie Ray Vaughan's Strat. I don't know what it was. It's this conglomeration of parts. And he played it like he hated it. You know, if that didn't say SRV on it and it was laying on the sidewalk, you wouldn't pick it up. But there it is. So these instruments apparently are just fine for what they do. So if you wind up with a $50 garage sale special, good for you. It'll be fine. Okay. Okay. This thing at the top, that is, by the way, is the nicest diddly bow I have ever seen. Okay, I've made a few, and that one's nice. That's a single string with a pickup up near the soup can. The soup can is there just to keep the string tight. That's all it does. And you play it by plucking the string, and it vibrates where the pickup senses it up there. And you stop the string with just some, slide. The Vice Chancellor was up here with his slide, I noticed. I'm traveling, so I can't carry it. Usually I've got my Swiss Army knife in my pocket. It makes a great slide. A 5/8 inch deep set socket can't be beat. Okay, and you can make something like that very, very quickly. That's a 1 hour job right there. Okay, mathematicians. Soup can, because there's physics everywhere. There's knowledge to be gained everywhere. Why does the soup can have all those little grooves, crinkles in it? No, that's no accident they're there. For a very specific reason. Any guesses? I told some of my students to go find out as a homework problem. The answer they came up with actually called Campbell's to find out. When you put the soup in the can and you close the lid, it's not quite cooked all the way. So what they do is they close it and they finish cooking in order to keep it in a sterile environment. So good. Yeah, things expand when they heat, right? Well, if the can can't expand at least a little bit, it'll blow up, so that'll expand. So anyway, oh, by the way, that's a diddly bow, that's Bo Diddley, just in case you didn't get it. By the way, I did actually put that up there for a reason. Big bow fan here. That's a Gretsch, I don't know what that is. What does the body look like? Looks like a shoebox, doesn't it? Might as well be. It's just a block. It's just a rectangular block of wood. And I don't know how that came to be, but that's what it is. Electric guitars don't care what shape they are. Doesn't matter. I mean, within reason, they have to balance well enough that you can, they don't keep dropping like that. But as long as they can balance, you can pick them up and they stay level. They don't care mostly don't care what the body's made out of. They definitely don't care what shape the body is. So it's kind of like haiku. There's some limits to what you can do, but within those limits, do whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Okay. Go ahead. All right. So here's the lesson, such as it is. Any cheap trick people out here? So you're the cool one. Okay, cool. And Dwayne, okay, my man. Okay, Rick Nielsen is up on the upper right. He's the guitarist from Cheap Trick, and he's a prisoner of his wardrobe. He can never stop dressing like that, because if he does, nobody will know who he is. Sort of like Albert Einstein was a prisoner of his hair. All he had to do was trim his mustache and comb his hair, and nobody would have known who he was. And one of his sort of stage gigs is he plays this five neck, I think it's a Hamer, Hamer. Does that sound right, Dwayne? Okay, all right, I got it right. This 5-neck guitar, all 5 necks really do work. One of them seems to be fretless down there at the bottom. And he does apparently really play this monstrosity. Now why his back hasn't snapped, I don't know. But so let's just say he's up there and he's playing. Well, how do you get from him to music that you hear? Well, I tell my students, whenever you've got a system and you don't know how to think about it, follow the energy. Where's the energy go in? Where's the energy come out? Think about an engine. An engine's basically just an air pump. So you pump air through the engine, you shoot some fuel into it, light it on the way through, and energy comes out. So the energy comes in chemical form. Okay, some of that energy is dissipated turning the engine, but then when you burn the fuel, that chemical energy becomes heat, which then becomes mechanical energy, and that goes out the back to do something, turn a propeller or some wheels or something like that. Okay, so when you don't know what else to do, follow the energy through the system. Well, let's see, there's not a lot of energy in an electric guitar, but there's some. He's plucking a string right there, right? String vibrates. Sounds like kinetic energy to me. Sound reasonable? Make your head do this. Okay. But do you ever play an electric guitar that isn't plugged in? Doesn't sound like anything, does it? There's not enough energy getting to the air to move around. Now, you don't need much energy in the air. 1 acoustic watt in the air in here would be pretty loud. 5 acoustic watts would be deafening. We wouldn't be able to stand it in here. Okay, well, some of us, those of us who are deaf would, but if you could still hear, you wouldn't like it. You have a tiny bit of energy in the strings. Well, something needs to sense it. Well, that's that pickup up there. And a pickup is just wires and magnets. That's all it is. By the way, the more you hang around the guitar world, the more absolute just nonsense you will hear. Stuff that, I mean, if F still equals MA, what you're hearing is just complete garbage. But the people telling you that are often building really good guitars, so what do? You know? So all of you, absolutely all of you, have something just like that. Even if you don't know what a guitar is, you already own some of those. Okay? Got anti-lock brakes in your car? How does the ABS computer, I used to work for Bosch, but how does the ABS computer know how fast the wheels are turning? Just stops to think how it feels about it? No. There's a wheel speed sensor in there, and it's an inductive pickup, just like that. A magnet with wire wrapped around it. Oh, that sounds familiar. And there's this little plate on the wheel. It has these slots cut into it, and so when it turns, it makes these pulses, and the computer counts the pulses, and it knows how fast the wheels are turning. So you already own some of these. I actually taped one of these to a guitar one time, plugged it in, sounded like a guitar. Sounded like a 1-string guitar because it only had 1 sensor, but okay. So anyway, what that does is that takes the kinetic energy of the string and turns it into a proportional signal. Well, that's a sensor. That's what sensors are. They listen to something we want to know: temperature, vibration, heat, velocity, acceleration, something, and turn it into a proportional voltage. That's what happens. So there's the energy again. Next place it goes probably is to a distortion box, because nobody wants to play a signal that hasn't been, distorted 6 ways to Sunday. So these big distortion pedals people have. So you screw the signal up a lot, and then you send it to an amplifier. What is it doing? Well, it takes this tiny, tiny little bit of power, milliamps that are getting, or that's not power, milliwatts that are getting up to the amplifier and turning it into watts, or tens of watts, or hundreds of watts maybe, okay, depending on what you're doing with it. Moves a speaker, which starts pushing air. If you push air, you start making pressure waves. Then what does my ear do? Well, it's got kind of a little speaker cone in there, the drummer, so it starts vibrating, and what does it do? Well, it's talking to the cilia in my ear, which are piezoelectric, and turn it back into electricity. Well, wait a minute, I went electricity to amplifier to air to ear to electricity again. Why don't I just plug the guitar in like that? Okay, you laugh. Somebody's going to try it. I promise you. Okay? Well, think about it. Somebody who has a cochlear implant, what is it? We're just bypassing the ear. We're just going straight into the auditory nerve. Okay? So is that 5 minutes? Okay, I'll make this quick. Is that okay for a lesson, kind of the big picture? Okay. Yeah, don't shy away from the electronics. My students are mechanical engineering technology students, and they hate electronics because it's too abstract. Well, sorry, in an ideal world they wouldn't, but there's some really good tools out there. The one I would recommend is a program called Audacity. It's free. Free is good. Free is a price I can live with. It's really designed for audio recording, but it just knows inputs. It doesn't care what the input comes from. If you plug your electric guitar into your computer and you can get the impedances to match up okay, you can record this. I've done it. It works fine. And did I mention it's free? So I like that. Okay, one more. Oh yeah. Here's one. I'm going to end with this. I get this question constantly. I have Audacity, Octave, MATLAB. Let's go a little further down the line. I've got scanning laser vibrometers and video holography systems and 2-axis vibrometers and binaural heads and all this other stuff. The lab I worked in before I went to Purdue, we had, you go to the racks and pulling $400,000 worth of equipment off the rack, that's just Tuesday. That's not anything. So we had pretty much anything that was made I had access to. So I can calculate sound quality, right? I can do something and make a plot of some sort that'll tell me whether this guitar sounds good, right? Hit it. No. Okay. We have one of two problems. We're either, the thing we're trying to quantify is either or below our threshold of analysis. Well, the binaural head that we were using, the ones we were using, have hearing much, much better than mine. They're flat across from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, can hear low levels much better than I can by any measurement. This device hears much, much, much better than I do. All right, so it can't be that. I don't think it's the measurement, I think it's the analysis. We don't know what good means. We just, as far as I know, there is no metric where you can, oh, 47, that's good. That means this is going to be a good guitar. We can't do that. And the thought I'll leave you with is that one of these things I think I understand, I can't prove it, but I think it's right, is that players can tell the difference between instruments. The audience can tell the difference between players. Okay, if I took Dwayne back there, who's a pretty darn good player, and put him on that guitar, that nice Fender Strat, and he played it, he'd sound pretty much like Dwayne. And if I put him on that one down there, which is not at all a Fender Strat, he'd still sound exactly like Dwayne, right? But if I replaced him with somebody else, then you'd notice, okay? He'd know. You think you could tell the difference between, I don't know, the blue one and the Strat? I would, probably could. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I think what's going on this afternoon is there's a session with Dwayne and I in it. Are you in that one? You should be in that one. Yeah, the three of us. And, well, we got, what, 5 minutes here? Is there anything else I can tell you? Or, and if you're just dying to get up and go outside, I don't blame you. Okay? Should we leave it? Oh, okay.
Are you interested in the website, the list of like upcoming sessions?
Do we have that on the
Like
website?
location and date and time?
Yeah, just click there, yeah. Yeah. Well, we're working on it. We'll see if we can get that for you. All right, thank you very much for your attention. Really appreciate it.